When the character comes to a standstill, do you find it challenging to keep the character alive? Have you tried adding subtle movements but found that your character is drifting and sliding too much? How do you arrive at stillness while keeping the character alive? Hi, it's Irie. In this tutorial, we are going to look at techniques to achieve the right amount of moving, hold, and keep alive, and also things to watch out for. But first, let's define what is moving hold and what is keep alive. Moving hold is a method of tapering or quieting the momentum of a character by continuing the direction of that momentum and then very slowly coming to a rest. So the different body parts that are swinging and rotating and moving back and forth will slowly ease out of that movement until it comes to a stop. But once a character is at rest or it finished settling from its previous movement, then keep alive is a method of reintroducing small micro adjustments like eye darts, blinks, and breathing to prevent the character from becoming dead on the screen. But how exactly do we create moving holds and keep alive? This brings us to three types of application. The first type is diminishing momentum. This is when you want to introduce a pause after an action before you move on to the next one. So it's like a transition between two actions, or simply to finish and settle the current action that you have. The second kind is external triggers. This is when a character is already at rest and then performs active listening and reaction to an external input. For example, a character is listening to someone else or watching something and they're reacting to what they're seeing and hearing. The third kind is involuntary movements. So these are the movements that occur without external input. When the character is fully stationary and the movements are triggered by breathing, blinking, and changes in thought process. But we're going to focus on the most common application or most common type, which involves an existing motion that slowly comes to a halt or slowly starts to settle. But before we actually go into the steps themselves, it is more effective to learn moving holds and keep alive when you are able to recognize how does a moving hold or keep alive become too floaty or drifty? Where is the fine line between those two? Floatiness usually happens when all parts of the body are moving together in the same direction, same rotation, same path, same axis, and same speed. So there's no overlap and no offsets. Have a look at this example. Everything in the body is moving down and then up. Look at the way that the torso and the arms are moving. Everything is moving in the same direction, but also at the same speed. Floatiness in moving holds also occurs when the momentum does not diminish in amplitude. So this means that there is no tapering to the curve and no changes to timing. So the curve remains exactly as it is, and then it just eases in and stops. There's lack of believable weight, and when the spacing is too even, this also results in floaty animation. Once you have a familiarity or once you are aware what to look for, now let's try to apply moving holds and keep alive to a character coming to pause after landing. We are going to be performing the first type, which is diminishing momentum. Your first step is to try and find the main source of the motion. In this case is the COG of the character coming down. So from the jump and then going down and landing, the COG continues to move. That is our source of motion. Step number 2. Now that we have found the source of the motion, we're going to continue the momentum in the dominant axis and start to add the bounce. So this could be anything. If the character is landing, coming down, bouncing back up, and then down, up and down, this would be the y-axis. But it could also have an addition of a bit of rotation. We're just going to focus on the y-axis. So we're going to continue this up and down movement and taking into consideration the timing and the spacing as we start to taper the curve until it can ease into a somewhat flat line, something that looks like this. At this point, you'll probably start noticing that the body is moving as a single unit. Everything is moving up and down. This now brings us to our next step. We're going to start offsetting the different parts of the body to prevent it from being locked and moving as one. The easiest way to understand it is the parts of the body that are farther from the source of the motion will naturally have more offset than the main source of motion. If the movement is coming from the COG, then you could imagine that the upper part of the torso, that movement could be a couple of frames behind. And from that staggering, if we get to the neck and the head, then that part would be 1 or 2 frames behind the upper part of the torso. So think of it as a gradient that is coming out of the body. The farther you are from the source of motion, the more offset and the more stagger that you're going to have on those parts of the body. We're slowly coming to one of the most important steps in achieving balance in moving holds. And this is the next step, which is make sure that you are not using the same amount of force or movement on these other parts of the body as the main source of motion. So, what does that mean? Different parts of the body and secondary objects, they absorb impact in varying degrees. So, for example, a lighter object or a loosely attached prop or limb can react or decelerate more violently than the main source of motion. And this one right here is the key concept in finding the right amount of moving hold for a character. Let's say we have successfully tapered off the movement of the COG, we have diminished that momentum. A lot of animators use this technique of copy pasting that action on different parts of the body. Logically, it's a very smart shortcut. You're basically applying the bounce coming from the COG and copy pasting that to different parts of the body so you can create your animation faster. But if you copy paste it without adjusting the amplitude, that means that the up and down is exactly the same as the COG. This is where a lot of people end up having a mistake. The torso, the chest will have a different amount of up and down and different timing and different spacing as well. So if those are not adjusted, then you're ending up having a very mechanical, floaty, and very drifty animation. Different parts of the body come to a stop at different times. For example, as the COG starts to settle, ease into a flat line, the chest, the head, and the shoulders, they may still continue moving past the COG, past the other parts of the body. And this difference is creating an overlap and a very good technique as well to keep the character feeling organic. As you are going through the moving holds and keep alive, use breathing, eye darts, and blinks as well. And this adds texture and flavor to your character to not be completely frozen. Although use them sparingly, use them in the right amount. Do not sprinkle an eye dart every few frames. Each of those ideas, they also require their own craft to make them effective. So what is the last step? You're then going to complete your moving hold or keep alive by slowly introducing the beginning of the next movement. So this would come from an eye dart that may trigger the head to look sideways and therefore giving the body a natural reason to react and antic for the next movement. Some tips for moving hold and keep alive. Keep your choices simple for what kind of movements that you're doing to avoid over animation. Do not create a brand new line of action while you're in your moving hold unless it's an external trigger, like an audio or a visual change to the character. So if you're wondering, what if I have a shot that is subdued, the character is completely still, there are no audio cues, and worst of all, the character is standing. So how do you achieve an effective and natural keep alive? If you want to see the answer to this live, I'm hosting a lecture and a demo on the more advanced versions of Keep Alive. If you are curious and have questions, I invite you to sign up. I will also have a Q&A at the end of the session. There is an early bird discount for those who sign up early, and the link to join is in the description below and at the end of this video. I look forward to seeing you there. Otherwise, I hope this video had been helpful in your studies or in your work. This is Irie, and thanks for watching.